behind the curtain.
Just basically saying, yeah, we did it, just keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
How mad would that be?
I'm loving you.
You photoshopping, blah, 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 blah. Suck him up, I was fucking... Yeah.
There's a page. Go check it out. He throws for a wild card. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Missing Mysteries in Black and White with your two hosts, myself Ed and my main man Josh.
How are we all doing?
Oh, smashed it. That's the first time I had to bring it in 6 months. Like, what do you mean? Oh.
Well, you were literally just saying, just before we come on, it's like, we're actually being consistent for once. What's
Yeah,
going on here?
Yeah.
We're changed men.
Hang on, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
When we say it in like 6 months' time, then we can. But no, I hope everyone is well, and thank you for tuning in to see us, or listen to us, or whatever both. You're doing. As you saw last week, I spoke about creepypastas. Mm-hmm. I didn't mention the big one, but you know, maybe sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we spoke about creepypastas, and it was the last one, if you heard, which I'm not even going to mention because you should have listened to it. Yeah,
exactly. But it's what has led on to this one.
Yeah, because it gave you the idea.
Yeah, it did. Because like I was saying last week, I hit a bit of a stumbling block with ideas or topics that I want to talk about that I haven't really already covered. Yeah. And I've got a couple, but I want to try and hold them off and it's basically save them for a rainy day.
Yeah.
So that I have got a backup plan, so to speak. But no, thankfully, the one you did mention has led on to this.
Yeah. And as you can see by the title, we're talking about secret Nazi experiments.
Yeah.
If you don't know who the Nazis were, well, fair play to
you. You most likely still in school, and you will learn about them sooner. Yeah. Because I think everyone and their mum knows about the Nazis. Yeah. So
if you don't know about Nazis, they were part of the... Well, they were the German army pretty much during the 1939-1945 conflict, which we know as World War II.
Yeah.
But during this time, as well as the main fight, Nazis, and I like to say mainly the SS.
Yeah,
the SS was like the high command of the Nazis.
Yeah.
Would do well. I imagine they were doing these experiments and absolutely barbaric things.
Oh yes,
to try and give them the edge.
Yes, well,
during the war.
A lot of it was made, like you said, it was
during the war.
During the war.
If you know, you know.
No, they was basically doing it. It started at first as like a sort of propaganda type of racial cleansing type thing, because mainly it was affected on the Jewish population. But when the war kicked off, it's almost like it gave them a green light.
Yeah, to
just
everyone.
Get a way with doing it. Yeah. And some of this stuff, I will just say that is fucking, like Ed said, it is barbaric. Some of the shit they've done.
So what I mean, like, what always gets me is like people always say like how humans are smarter than animals, but
no animal would ever
even
contemplate doing it. Do you know what I mean? Let alone actually doing it.
Which in a way, it makes us smarter, but it makes us worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like animals, they fight, they kill each other, but that is to do with survival.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just to do it for their own pleasure,
greed, and personal gain and all that sort of shit.
Which is
disgusting.
Which is totally wrong. But is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's where it took a turn. It's happened now. What can we do about it? We can speak about it. That's what we're going to do. So then people are now more aware of
what they were capable of, and as well,
the
as disgusting and horrible as all this stuff is, when you look at the history of like everything that's happened through the Nazi parties and like the Second World War and that, it almost gives you that, not buzz, because obviously it definitely don't give you a buzz, but what I'm getting at is it almost gives you that, no, you're not sitting there going, yes, do it again. No, but it gives you that almost, for lack of a better word, pleasure that we won.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because they were going to do this to everyone.
Yeah.
And like so many of us would not be here today, myself included. I definitely wouldn't be here today, but you would be, you jammy fucker.
Blonde hair, blue eyes. We were the perfect race according to Adolf Hitler.
But Which is ironic because he was neither. That still baffles me. It's like, what? So what? After it was done, you were going to do yourself in because you don't fit in the system. Well, he did in the end, yeah. But
so they say.
Yeah.
Nobody was ever recovered. He's still in Argentina. But so now you pretty much know what we're talking about today, and I'm very excited about this because this is kind of. It is. I've always been interested in like the Second World War history and that kind of stuff. So, like I know like the main ins and outs of the Second World War, but like how fucked Nazis were.
I feel as well with things like the Second World War, you could have studied it your whole life and you're still not going to know every little thing that happened.
No. Unless you were there.
Exactly. It is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Not only just like this sort of stuff that I'm about to cover, but just like the whole aspect of the war itself, what started the war, that period between the First World War and the Second World War, where everything was up in the air and all that shit. What happened after the war with the Cold War when that all kicked? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like from 1914 to whenever the fucking Cold War ended. I can't remember.
No, Cold War was out in 1945.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Between that time period.
Oh, right.
Like, from the beginning of the First World War to the end of the Cold War, that whole period was just madness. Do you know what I mean?
I think the term is global unrest.
Was that actually? Or did you just make that up?
No, I think it is.
I was going to say, if you just made that up, that's banging.
Yeah. I think, in that time period, ever since the assassination of Franz Ferdinand until, bugger, I can't remember his name, who pretty much signed off that the Soviet Union would no more. Who ended the Cold War? Weren't Gorbachev?
No, Gorbachev was that. No. Whoever come after him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Here's Donny, yeah. Russian geezer.
Yeah, and like the fall of the Berlin Wall.
And all that, yeah.
From that period to that period is, the global unrest.
Fucking manic as well.
Yeah. You know, like... But the thing is, I talk to, like, the older generation, like my old man's here and that, and even though, like, it was global unrest with the Cold War and stuff like that, they said they had the best time.
No, of course they did.
They had the best time.
Of course they did. And this might sound cliche or fucking preachy or whatever, but I seriously do think a lot of that has to do with the fact there was no social media. Do you know what I mean? You didn't have the choice of listening to people like troll you or... Do you know, you had none of that shit.
No.
You made your own mind up and you stuck by it as well.
You just, you was always around like-minded people.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got on. You know, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, make sure you follow our socials so you can keep up with us. Fucking hell, Josh, you trying to kill us or what? But what kind of fine line here as it is? You know what I mean? But no, anyway, Josh.
Yes.
I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay. So, from 1933 to 1945, Nazi Germany carried out a campaign to cleanse German society of individuals viewed as biological threats to the nation's health. The Nazis enlisted the help of physicians and medically trained geneticists, psychiatrists, and anthropologists to develop racial health policies. These policies began with the mass sterilization of many people in hospitals and other institutions and ended the near annihilation of European Jewry. Nazi human experimentation was a series of medical experiments on prisoners by Nazi Germany in its concentration camps mainly between 1942 and 1945.
So in that time, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, you're right.
So in that time, the war was already been going on for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just that when America was involved then at that point.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they were.
And it was like they were now becoming on the back foot.
Yeah. Well, I think as it got on, like it first started beforehand. It started in 1933 is when it originally started.
Yeah, because that's when
Hitler
was getting his traction.
Yeah, but at the same time, the German people were starting to push back with things like protests and shit like that. And it was the Second World War when that all kicked off that it almost gave them a green light to do it.
Right.
Or they could hide it a lot easier because obviously the public are focused on the war.
Yeah, it's more accessible and more acceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I'm proud of all the big
Go on, the boy.
Hey. Well, I've got to just tell you, if I'm a bit croaky and that, it's just because before we've done this podcast, I had a whole casserole dish of lamb stew, and I'm honestly bollocks. And the sad thing of it is, what's the time?
Fucking 12 minutes past 10 in the morning.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it all night. Fucking hell. Oh.
We all have them cravings.
Oh, I'm craving it. It was so good. It was so good.
Worth it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be worth the tears later.
Yeah. There were 15,754 documented victims of various nationalities and age groups, although the true number is way higher. Some survived, however, they experienced severe permanent injuries. At Auschwitz and other camps under the direction of Eduard Werfs, selected inmates were subjected to various experiments that were designed to help German military personnel in combat situations develop new weapons, aid in the recovery of military personnel who had been injured, and to advance Nazi racial ideology and eugenics.
I just want to say, like, it's going to sound weird, but I've always wanted to visit Auschwitz.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Just I don't know what it is about it, but again, though, I'm the same with Ground Zero, where the towers collapsed.
Oh, right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is about it, because obviously it's not like a holiday destination. It's not like you're buzzing like you would be to go to Disneyland.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just something fascinating about it to think this is where a significant part of history occurred.
Yeah, major history.
I mean, we know somebody who's been to Auschwitz, and he said, like...
a very good friend of ours.
Yeah.
He said, like, the whole time he was there, no birds sang.
No, and that's the eerie part about it, is things like that.
It was just unsettlingly quiet.
Yeah.
It was quiet. And then, like, some of the exhibits, should we say, that they show, like the shoes.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. He says it's absolutely heartbreaking.
It really does set into reality how not only lucky we are for the generations we live in and that, but how small we are in comparison to, like, the world. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, it's like, I think we spoke about it before, but, like, remember the film Fury?
Yeah.
It's the bit with Shia LaBeouf, and he says to the young lad, he says, wait till you see it.
Yeah.
And he's like, see what? He said, what a man will do to another man. And honestly, that I remember when I first saw that, it gave me chills.
Yeah, because that is the reality. Is like, until you're in that sort of situation, you have no idea what you're capable of.
No.
No, we've mentioned it countless times with fight or flight, but it's always that. I think it's just the human interest. Whereas, like, you look at situations like that and you wonder, in those situations, how far will I go?
The thing is that how, like, with the concentration camps and that, like, the Germans starved them. They starved them. They abused them to the point where they just had they pretty much beaten the fight out of them.
Yeah.
If they had any.
Yeah.
And it was just leading lamb to slaughter.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And this, like, what I'm about to read out, it really just put that into
the casserole dish. Oh. Sorry, I'm not saying I've ate a load of Jews. I ate a lot of lamb. Oh, that was so good. Oh, I keep going back to it. Oh no, this is it. People must be thinking I'm a fucking idiot. Or something. How can you even say that? I'm sorry.
We've always said from day one, we will talk about the reality of these things, and we understand and obviously sympathise with, like, how brutal and horrible this shit was, but like we try to make as light-hearted as we possibly can.
Because it's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, because I don't want people to listen in and just start bawling their eyes out.
No,
they ain't gonna listen
and I mean,
to
I'm not being funny. It's one of them situations where it's like, yeah, my brain, man, my fucking brain.
Right,
I literally have a thought, and my brain just goes, "No, you don't. Fucking shut your mouth, boss." If it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
Yeah, fair play.
Fucking hell. What was I? Yeah, from 1939 to 1942, the Nazi policies had to be implemented on a vast array of new territories and populations. For example, when the Nazis took power in 1933, the Jewish population in Germany was less than 500,000, and they were subjected to racial but not murderous policies. However, when the Nazis began to take control of various countries, this number quickly rose to 3.5 million. This is when the Nazi policies quickly became genocidal.
Yeah.
So again, this already shows what kind of people these were. Do you know what I mean? The fact that even that small number in comparison were subjugated to fucking hatred and that simply because of their religion and things like that.
That's the thing, right?
Fucked up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's no different what's happening today.
I was literally about to say that. It is so identical. The only difference is it's just not on that vast of a scale.
Thank God.
Thank fuck, yeah.
Yeah, thank God. But yeah, it's no different today. That's the thing, right? I'm not the most overly religious of people.
No, I'm not.
And it is absolutely tearing the human race apart.
It really
because
is.
of the different ideologies of people.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I need to eat lamb more often. But it's the different ideologies of people, but then there's no common ground.
No.
You either think my way
or not. Yeah, it's like, I'm right, you're wrong. It's like, no, that's not how it fucking works.
No. 6 in one, half a dozen in the other.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
More than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
I've never tried.
Who's skinning cats?
Oh, it's just an old saying, isn't it?
I don't know. I've never heard it.
Yeah, more than one way. Was it swinging?
It's skin a deer, isn't it?
No, cat. I know it's a cat.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Dang.
I don't know. Skin or swing. I don't know. People are just bastards. The cats.
Yeah. As the war began to spread in the East, by 1941, the Nazis began to try and balance these experiments by making it not only a racial cleansing, but also try and help win the war. There are loads of programs the Nazis began to conduct. However, there are 6 main programs they implicated to try and achieve that goal. The first of them is called Action T4. This was the basis on what all the other horrific Nazi experiments were built on. T4 was a euthanasia program. Sorry, I'm not laughing at that. Every time I hear that word, did you ever used to watch Ali G when you was a kid?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the episode where he's
not the TV show.
Oh no, there's an episode, right? He's talking to these doctors, and he's like, "So, if we can put animals down, why can't we put humans down?" And the doctor goes, "We can. It's called euthanasia." It's him, quick-witted as he is, just goes, "So why is it mainly down to the euthanasia who decides who lives and who dies?" It's like, no, the program's called euthanasia. It's like, yeah, but why is it mainly down to Asian youths? So every time I hear that word now, that's instantly what comes in my head, that euthanasia. Anyway, T4 was a euthanasia program that was meant to mercifully euthanize incurably sick people, when in reality it was used on the mentally ill and the handicapped. It was named after the location it was manufactured, and it was responsible for the deaths of over 300,000 people. The T4 originated from the eugenics theory that was widespread across various countries in the beginning of the 20th century, including the United States. So see, you're just as bad. Its supporters proposed laws for sterilisation, claiming that certain illnesses and mental disabilities could be wiped out if it's not inherited to the next generation, thus making stronger humans in the process. The Nazis implemented this because they felt it fit perfectly with their goals of the superior Aryan race, which is what Ed mentioned earlier, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed superior race. That's what they called it. However,
I'd have been a fucking boss. I'd have been a CEO or something. I'm pleased I'm not, really.
Instead, just sitting here making a podcast with a black man stuffed on lamb roast.
Yeah. Talking about monsters and weird things.
Wouldn't have it any other way, though.
100%, mate. 100%. I'm living the best life. I was saying it yesterday to my old man. I was saying, I haven't got a lot of money in the bank, but I am the richest man in the world.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get that feeling, yeah.
Because we was having dinner, lamb casserole and stuff, and my little boy was sitting next to me. My old man was across. They were laughing at each other and that, and it's just it just made me feel warm.
That warm, humble feeling.
And it's just like, you can't buy that.
No, of course you can't.
You can't buy. I don't care. Like, yeah, I'd like a bit of money, take the pain off.
Obviously, but it's not the be all end all. When you look at things like that, it's like, Do you know what? I'm all right with...
Yeah, you can't, like you say, money cannot buy that feeling.
No.
You can't buy that atmosphere. And with that, like, yeah, I am the richest man in the world. So, yeah. So all you lonely CEOs out there, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah. Get some friends.
Listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Gives you money. Fair. You never know. You never know.
Well, it might be one that just goes, yeah, all right.
Yeah. 20 quid. Well, thank you, mate.
It's better than nothing. I'll fucking take it.
Yeah, fucking right.
Yeah, so they thought it fit in with their goal of the superior Aryan race. However, they hit a roadblock when the public tried to rebel this law. So when the Second World War began, the Nazis found the perfect excuse, and when they invaded Poland in the beginning of the war, it was Polish patients in mental institutes that became the first victims. During this time, German doctors would be sent into these places and would test individuals to find the ones they deemed unworthy to live. Most of them would be shot. However, by late 1939, a Nazi chemist proposed the use of bottled carbon monoxide, and this was officially the birth of the gas chambers.
Back in.
This continued for 2 years until 1941, when a number of protests in Germany forced the Nazis to abandon the program. However, by this point, the program had already been implicated into the concentration camps by Heinrich Himmler, and the program was renamed 14F13.
Heinrich Himmler. If you don't know who he is worse than Hitler.
Yeah.
I've always said it. Hitler was the face.
Yeah, he was the poster boy.
Yeah, he was the poster boy for the Nazi party. There was always people behind him. And I'd say the biggest mastermind was Heinrich Himmler. Everyone, if you speak to a lot of historians about Second World War, about the SS, about the Nazis, they always say he was the worst of the worst. Yeah, he was the worst out there. He was a true fucking monster.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, Hitler was definitely the poster boy, and it was him and I'd say Joseph Goebbels. They were the two that are like, if you wanted to target any one of them at the three, it'd be one of them two, rather than Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, 100%.
Not saying that Adolf Hitler was squeaky clean. I'm just saying
no, because it was a lot of Hitler's ideologies, his own hatred.
It's just these fuckers were the ones that actually done it.
Yeah, because
Hitler
could speak.
Yeah, but a lot of Hitler's hatred come from Germany's oppression from the First World War, weren't it? Because obviously he was a soldier in the First World War, and obviously he lost, so he was a bit butthurt about that.
Yeah.
And then obviously everything that happened after that, it just wound him up, basically.
Pretty much. It was like First World War. Things just piling up. He couldn't get into art college, which is quite well known. And it was what he thought was because of the Jews.
Yeah, for some fucking reason. This is what I mean. He weren't exactly the most sane guy, but a lot of people that I've seen that have met him, well, I haven't obviously spoke to these people, but like what from seeing of interviews and things like that, they say he was one of the most sophisticated and charming gentlemen you could ever meet.
Yeah, it is.
And he was. And when you look at his actual personality, I'm not trying, before anyone tries to come at me, I'm not trying to fucking big up Hitler, all right? I'm just saying what people have said, all right? Don't come at me, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying. A lot of people...
But that would be like, in a way, so hypocritical.
Of everything we've ever said on this podcast, like, do you know what? I think old Dolph there was a bit misunderstood.
Yeah. He was a puppy, really.
Yeah. But no, a lot of people saying like he was sophisticated and things like that. He was a fucking massive animal activist, weren't he?
Yeah. And he was vegetarian.
Yeah, and all that sort of shit. So it's like, he did have some good.
And the thing is as well, like, even though it was Britain who was like the first line of defence, like, you ain't doing it. Hitler loved England.
Yeah.
He adored...
He held off fighting us for so long until he had no choice. It was only when the Soviet Union started pushing back, he's like, well, really, I've got to take that side.
Yeah.
And the only ones that are there are Britain, so I've got no choice, really.
Because, I mean, at that time, like, the British Empire, the sun never set on the British Empire.
No. Because we owned that fucking much of the damn thing.
Yeah, we had such a little island owned so
half
much
the world.
Of the world.
At least half of it.
Yeah. And he respected it.
Yeah.
He he was like that, because, he loved us.
Yeah.
But we was like, all right then, get fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care if you like us.
Well, like,
stop fucking about.
Yeah, that was the first thing, wasn't it? Because obviously Neville Chamberlain was in charge at the beginning of the war.
Yeah.
And like, obviously Hitler and I know them two met a fair few times. And it was a case of Neville Chamberlain was like, right, you can do this, but just leave like that country. And then he'd go and take that country. It's like, all right, leave. You can have them, but you leave that country. And then he'd go and take it. It was almost like he was trying to push it. And then big old Winston come in and went, listen, you fucking cunt. Pack it in there or you're going to get a backhand.
Yeah, you're playing fucking silly buggers here now. Carry on like this. We're sorting you out. Yeah.
And he didn't listen. And look what happened.
And look what's happened. We're not speaking German. Oh, we're gonna get so much hate.
But no, yeah, so Heinrich Himmler renamed the program 14F13. The name originated from 14, which was the position of the concentration camp's inspector. The letter F for the word I'm sorry if I butchered this, Todesfall, I think it's called, which translates to death. And 13 refers to the cause of death, which is the poison gas, hence 14F13. This is when other experiments were born.
Even though the F begins with T.
Yeah, I don't get that. It was fucking German, probably silent F or some shit in there.
Fair enough. Todesfall.
Todesfall. Where was I? Yeah. This is when other experiments were born, which included one at Ravensburg, which was another concentration camp, but this one was exclusively for women. And they were used. They were put to use for heavy forced labour, like the other concentration camps. However, they were also used for prostitution, and 86 women in Ravensburg were used for medical experiments. And once again, this was because of the war that made it justifiable against any protests. Heinrich Himmler was fascinated with the project of medical experimentation on prisoners as a way to potentially increase the lives of German soldiers, but finding cures for anything imaginable.
Oh, here we go.
Because of this, the women of Ravensburg were subjected to leg wounds inflicted by wood and broken glass. Afterwards, they would have bacteria would be introduced on them to test anti-infections, and this was also known as the battle wound simulation. So this is mainly what the women were suffering with. It was basically just like basically like it says in the name, to simulate battle situations. So it's like if they can find a cure, they can then give it to the German soldiers and they can crack on with it. Because even the German soldiers, they went through a fair fucking bit. When you think of all the shit they had to put up with. I mean, Jesus, they were off their nuts on coke half the fucking time.
Yeah, and amphetamines. But also, a lot of the German soldiers did not know what they were fighting.
No. It was literally like you said earlier. You had the Nazi party, like the main core. Then you had the SS. They were the two that knew. The German soldiers, but underneath them were just any casual Tom, Dick, or Harry. It was like basically, listen, you go on a war, you go in there, fucking kill them.
Like a lot of them didn't know. Well, they knew there were concentration camps, but they didn't know what was going on there.
No,
and you see, it's a quite a famous picture now, and it was after the war ended. They were shown what was happening, and most of them were in bits.
Oh, yeah, fucking too right. Do you know what I mean?
In bits.
Thinking the thought of that, thinking you're fighting for your country and your independence, and that's the reality you're fighting for.
Yeah. For
evil. Hell.
There's no other word for it. It's evil.
Yeah, especially if you was one of the soldiers that took another life.
Yeah.
To think, I killed someone for that.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
The only person who thought it was a great idea would have been Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
And even at some point, he had a problem like, cool, I don't know about this.
You're taking this a bit too far, mate.
Yeah. And some of the shit he's done.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he'd be good.
That's not a bad shout, you know. Yeah. Who would that class on? Yours, wouldn't it?
Oh, no.
Vlad?
Don't matter.
Oh, just do a double, wouldn't it? We'll talk about Big Vlad one day.
Yeah. I spoke about vampires, so.
That's true. Yeah. Others were submitted to brutal operations related to bone, muscle, and nerve regeneration. Ravensburg was also part of the 14F13 program, resulting in 1,400 women being killed by gas chambers. Now, on the relation of gas chambers, the next one was known as Kaiser's Coffee Shop.
Coffee shop?
Yep.
Don't like coffee.
I love coffee.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't like this coffee. What am I better read though? No. This is where the gas chambers were not the only way the Nazis gassed their victims. Gas vans were also used until 1942 and were seen as more practical due to their way of not only being used to kill people but dispose of the bodies a lot easier. They was also handy due to the constant movement of the war front. So obviously at the time, country, you was taking one part of a land, part of a territory, and then you were losing it, and then it was just happening all over the place. It wasn't situated as it was like during the peak of the war, so obviously they couldn't really establish a full-on concentration camp in case they had to move it. So this is why the vans were handy to them. The first van was used by a man called Herbert Langer. The van enabled the Nazis to murder their victims in the chamber inside the van rather than the actual chambers that we know today. They could then transport the bodies to their disposal sites instead of having to fucking go in the chamber, get them in, put them in a van, and they was already in the van.
Yeah, fucking hell.
The van was disguised as a coffee company under the name of Kaiser's Coffee Shop and was used to go around Poland during the winter of 1939 to 1940. This practice was soon generalised, and many mentally disabled patients were gassed this way, and soon became the preferred method of mass executions of captured prisoners, and were exclusively used in the first experimentation camp, which was ran and controlled by Herbert Langer himself, the man who drove the first van. So obviously he was the originator, but like that's why it was disguised as a coffee stall, because it was going around Poland, just like the streets of Poland. Kidnapping people, but nobody's batting an eyelid realistically because it looks like a fucking coffee shop.
Yeah.
So,
fucking hell.
As fucking brutal as they were, the ingenuity.
It's quite smart.
It is quite smart. The things they do think of.
And Kaiser, like, because that's something to do with the First World War, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Kaisers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. Yeah.
Obviously, Poland didn't read up on their history.
No.
And it weren't even that fucking long ago for them then, was it?
No, not really.
It's like 20, 30 years.
If that. What was it? 1918?
Yeah,
1928, 1938. Yeah, just under 30 years.
Yeah.
Wake up!
Well, they didn't when they got in there, did
well,
they?
No.
Bless them. Just went to sleep. Forever.
Rest in peace. The next is Operation Reinhardt. While the mass murder of Jews was underway, in 1942, German leaders under SS officer Reinhardt decided to undertake what they called the final solution to the Jewish question, namely the mass killing.
Yeah.
The operation was a plan to kill all Polish Jews by building 3 killing centres. I'm going to butcher these names, I apologise. Blizek, Sobibor and Treblinka, which all opened from March 1942.
I think you smashed that.
Come on, I speak Polish. And what? Robert Lewandowski, my G. The plan was that the Polish Jews were to be taken there under the promise of work and new housing. They was loaded onto overpacked trains, and upon arrival they was told to leave their luggage with the SS whilst they had a shower to get cleaned. But in reality, it was a gas chamber. At the beginning of the operation, there was no barracks in these in the camps to hold the prisoners waiting to be killed. Instead, they were just simply shot on arrival. 500,000 were killed in Belzec, 250,000 were killed in Sobibor, and 900,000 were killed in Treblinka. The final, which makes this part one of the biggest, because obviously anybody who knows about history of World War II and the Nazis, they killed over, what was it, like 6.5 million Jews?
Yeah, it's getting close to
this alone, million. This whole bit, I think they killed 1.5 million. So a big chunk of that. The final act of Operation Reinhardt took place when the Nazis started dismantling the camps to cover their crimes. This was part of another program called Special Action 1005. And this is proof that the Nazis knew very well of the seriousness of their crimes. However, they thought themselves invincible and didn't seem to care. However, in 1942, the Soviet Union began publishing info about the mass murders in German-occupied countries. As the war was going on and the Germans began to lose ground in 1943, more info was beginning to come out about the Nazi crimes. So in the summer of 1942, they decided to organise an operation to wipe out all evidence of mass murder, and they called it Action 1005. The plan had 2 stages. The first was to remove the bodies from the camps, and the second was to remove the bodies from the burial sites and then burn them instead of, burying them. But what makes this so disgusting is that this task was given to none other than the Jews themselves.
So they were clearing up their own kin.
They made the Jews do it. And anybody that repelled it or couldn't do it, they literally just shot them and chucked them on the burning pile with them.
Yeah, that's savage.
This is what I mean by the fucking brutality of it. They're making... They won't even...
Probably people that some of them wouldn't recognise.
Yeah, exactly.
Or be family or friends.
It's like, it's just so disgusting when you think they can't even be asked to clear up their own mess. They're making the people that they've done it to do it for them.
Yeah.
That's just... Oh, my fucking... I hate them.
That's what I mean. They were animalising people.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can describe it. They were not seeing these Jews. They were not seeing like the mentally ill, the handicapped. They were not seeing them as people.
No.
as like I see you, you see
me,
exactly. And we see people today. They're seeing them as livestock.
Yeah, if they can't use them, they're fucking worthless to them. Like literally, like I mentioned earlier, they literally went into Poland. They went into Poland and found. And went to mental institutes to find patients that they deemed unworthy to live.
Yeah.
Why are they unworthy to live? Simply because they might...
That's what I mean. They're trying to play God.
Or whatever. It's fucking disgusting.
You know, like,
you hit the nail on the head, especially with the one I'm going to mention in a minute.
Yeah, they're trying to
They
play
literally
God.
were trying to play God. There were some... there were many more Nazi experiments, however. The ones that I just mentioned, they were the main 5 or 6. They were the ones that... The brutality of it. But they were doing other things as well, like testing seawater, which is where the Nazi doctors would force their victims to drink seawater in an attempt to make it drinkable for the German army.
Not possible.
No.
These are meant to be scientists.
Yeah.
I'm a hillbilly digger driver, and I know you cannot.
You can't do that shit.
The sodium chloride. Salt. It's deemed you can't.
You can't. And I know what they were doing with it as well. They were testing like how long it took them to get dehydrated, and if there was a way to like make them rehydrated in a quicker time. Yeah, it's fucking. Well, not only is it rank, but oh my god, it makes your mouth dry and then a fucking. No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
It screws your face.
Yeah, it's fucking horrible. Another one was chemical exposure, where Nazi victims were exposed to chemicals called Cyclone B, and these were added into chambers so doctors could observe their effects. So again. And this was, I think this was what was used in the First World War, like the mustard gas sort of thing. I think that's the official name of it. Yeah. They wanted to see the side effects and everything of what basically is going to happen to your body and can you overcome it in a quick period of time and all that sort of shit.
It just fucking tears you up from the inside out.
High altitude testing, where doctors tested prisoners to simulate high pressure exposure German pilots would face upon ejection. So again, they're just sticking these poor prisoners in these fucking things and just yeeting them to see what will happen to their bodies and that, obviously, because they're in such a high altitude plummeting down.
Well, yeah, and it's the G-force.
Yeah, everything like that.
They've just literally gone Mach fuck into the air.
But I just love the fact that it's like they're doing it to understand what German pilots will face. How about ask them?
Yeah.
I'm sure 1 or 2 of them would have done it by this point. How about ask them? What did they feel?
Well, I bet they all say not good.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, mate. Hypothermia tests, where prisoners would be forced into hypothermia to see if doctors could reverse it at a quicker rate. And arguably, the worst is the propagation experiments, where a man called Josef Mengele, who was one of the architects of the Holocaust alongside Himmler, would conduct experiments on prisoners and had no decency or morality towards his victims. He would mainly focus on twin experiments with the intent on uncovering any connection between fertility and multiple births. He'd done this via injections, electrocutions, radiation exposure, and horrific surgery. This actually gave him the nickname the Angel of Death.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
So they were the fucked up ones. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they're all fucked up. Don't get me wrong. Because obviously these poor, like I said, mainly Jewish people were being put under this horrible fucking duress for absolutely no reason, just because they wanted to test shit out.
The only way, their reasoning is they don't want to use their own soldiers because they're too valuable.
Yeah.
They're using people what they deem invaluable.
Yeah, exactly. Lab rats.
You know, yeah.
To them, they are lab rats.
Expendable.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's fucking that many of them that under their control. It's like, well, no one's going to miss him. We can just replace him with him. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's...
Let's say they're animalising them.
Yeah.
They were animalising them. They weren't seeing them as human beings.
Yeah.
They were seeing them as cattle.
Yeah. And although, as well, like, so many, obviously, Jews got the worst end of it. But Jews weren't the only ones that they were targeting.
No.
Like I said, they were targeting people of colour,
yeah,
travellers,
yeah,
fucking anybody that didn't fit into their perfect... Homosexuals, fucking, like I said, mentally disabled, certain handicapped, all that sort. If you didn't fit into their perfect mould, you were expendable.
Mm. Yeah, you weren't human to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You was just seen as dirt.
Yeah.
You was seen as toys, as instruments.
Yeah.
Of their experiments to make their army stronger.
Yeah, exactly. But the sad reality of it is they were using that excuse of, it's to help, like, the German people. Let's say they won the war. They'd still be doing it.
Oh,
what would be their excuse then? But mind you, if they won the war, they've got no one to fucking answer to.
No.
It's like, we're just doing it because we can.
They're the highest command. Yeah. They're just saying it.
We can do it.
They're not them.
Yeah, we're doing it because we can, and what?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, the last one that I'll mention is, like, this is where I said it's fitting that you said that they pretend they're trying to play God. The last one is an attempt by the Nazis to change the course of nature as part of their dream of the 1,000-Year Reich, where Himmler and Goering employed Germany's best scientists to launch an ambitious program to develop not only Aryan settlements, but also Aryan animals, and change the course of evolution. But they had this huge ambition to try and recreate prehistoric animals, some that had not been existed for 9,000 years.
Oh, I thought he was going to just bring back dinosaurs.
No.
That'd have been the only thing.
It's like, do you know what? That would have been a fucking turn for the worst. The original John Hammond was Adolf Hitler. Imagine him. It's like, welcome to Jurassic Park. Oh, yes.
Well, no expense.
What dinosaur is it? This is a velociraptor.
But can you imagine being like a British soldier? You're fucked. You're knackered. Like, you've been fighting the Nazis for years, and all of a sudden a saber-toothed tiger starts coming at you.
Like, for fuck's sake. You know for a fact Adolf will be riding, like, you know how Vladimir Putin rode the bear? You know for a fact Hitler will be riding the T-Rex?
Yeah.
100% he'd be fucking riding that motherfucker.
I think there was a film, like a real cheap fucking B movie.
Right.
It was like dinosaurs and Nazis.
Oh, we got to find it.
And there was a bit where Hitler's riding the T-Rex.
We've got to find it. We've got to find it. I need to see this film.
But no, it's just like you just of course there is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's like, it sounds so impressive so far. Reality, I'm just going to skip ahead. It's basically just a big cow. That's all they wanted to recreate, is a big cow.
Oh, right.
It's such a letdown, isn't it? When I first heard about it, I was like, oh, fucking hell, yeah. Especially because the thumbnails, because every single one had Hitler and a T-Rex. I'm like, oh my God, he's actually fucking, I need to watch this. No, it's a cow.
Yeah.
I'm like, for fuck's sake. Bastard. But they want to do this as, so that the superior race would have superior animals to hunt. In July 1941, the Order Police Battalion 322 began hunting down and deporting people from the newly captured forest of Bialowice in eastern Poland. The battalion burned down 34 villages and expelled over 7,000 people. The forest was then turned into a nature reserve for Hermann Goering. Now, Hermann Goering was one of Hitler's deputy commanders, and he was also commander of the Luftwaffe, and he was also Germany's master of the hunt. To Goering, this place was a sacred wilderness that stretched over 1.5 thousand square kilometres. It was also the large refuge of Europe's rarest game animals, including wolves, Eurasian lynx, European moose, and some of the last surviving European bison. All these animals are ones that the Nazis believe their Aryan ancestors hunted thousands of years ago. Yeah. So Goering employed German scientists to use the forest, as they thought it was the perfect place to try and bring back the infamous Auroch. How do you say that? Aurochs.
Yeah.
Bighorn cow donnies. Which was, like I said, a large horned cattle that stood over 2 meters tall and that went extinct in 1672, again, mainly through hunting. Obviously, they was unsuccessful. However, scientists are still trying to create a subspecies of this animal to this day in an attempt to help repopulate wild Europe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there's still scientists out there that are going, do you know what? The Nazis might have been onto something there. They're using Nazi ideology.
At least it's that.
But again,
at least ain't somebody else.
But that again, that just shows what they were like with, especially like Hitler being a fucking vegetarian and a massive animal rights activist, and obviously, because obviously for those that don't know, there's loads of like nature reserves out there and things like, especially in America, there's like ranches, isn't it, where it's like controlled hunting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where these animals are basically left to their own devices. If they want to breed, they'll breed. But they 9 times out of 10 they don't kill the breeders, do they? They kill like the offspring and that when they're fully grown and things like that to eat them and things like that. Yeah. And it really, I don't get how it works, but it somehow does help build the population bigger.
It's not even. It's a bit of that, but it's also not overbreeding, especially when you've got animals, say like bear. Bear's the apex predator.
Yeah,
and I know they fight. They're cannibalistic tendencies, but at the end of the day they are the apex, and a lot of the time they'll have their own territories and stuff, which then can dwindle other species like deer, moose, whatever. But also at the same time they need bear to control the deer and moose population, because if they go too overpopulated,
like they are here,
then they kill saplings, then plant life can't grow, and then
it's just like a downward spiral, isn't it?
A drastic change of events.
So I suppose obviously they don't kill the breeding animals, because obviously they're the ones keeping the population alive.
Cull. It's you know, it's just a control measure. Whereas like with people, and people might disagree with me, they might agree with me, but the human race is so vastly overpopulated.
It is. I don't get how anyone can disagree with you. It fucking is.
Yeah, but there will be, let's be honest. But with that, being overpopulated as we are actually killing the environment instead of saving it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we probably don't, so even myself probably don't help in some
Not
way.
a single person realistically helps. Even the most absolute animal activist, nature reserving, fucking tree hugging.
Well, yeah, put it this way,
like, they're still affecting it.
What people think is the most energy saving thing, it's actually the worst. That's wind farms.
Yeah. Because they're not biodegradable, are they?
They're not biodegradable. But the oil, the machinery, and all the fossil fuels, what are used to create them, they will never get their back, and they've only got a 20-year lifespan.
Yeah, and don't they bury them in the ground, don't they? Because they can't burn or anything like that. So they literally bury them in the ground, which is obviously poisoning the fucking ground.
Well, it's not, that's just waste.
All things like
exactly. You use natural material, wasting it.
Yeah, exactly.
So they are actually probably the worst thing of renewable energy.
Like, even if like with things with like vegans and that, they are doing some good, but in reality they're just as bad.
If you want to kill species of animal, become a vegan.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that is going to trigger
a lot of people, but it is the truth.
Yeah, if you're a vegan and you believe in what you're doing, that is fair enough.
Yeah,
but don't come at me.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, I've ate a whole lamb casserole, that one lamb. Right, that was one lamb leg. You know, so right, that's not great. An animal died. But if you're a vegan and you have to have, I don't know, say it's like 2 or 3 avocados or whatever, I don't care what it is.
They're like 1 million bees killed or something like that.
It's the bees killed. When they're tilling the earth, they're killing all the snakes, the turtles, all the shrews, the mice. They're killing everything.
Yeah.
And then it's the pesticides they have to use onto the crop.
Yeah.
You're killing all the bugs.
And the bugs are actually fucking, you don't realise they're helping these crops and shit grow.
Well, it's not, no, they don't. They eat them. They do eat them.
I thought it was a certain bug.
There
probably
is
helps.
a certain bug, but a lot of them just destroy them.
Right.
They do destroy them, you know. So, they have to do it to kill
them.
To
a certain degree, yeah.
But at the end of that, you do genocide every time. Every vegan field is genocide. Yeah? All right. And then they're saying about cattle with methane.
Yeah, and like one cow can produce as much toxic gas as like 3 or 4 flights back and forth to Australia.
That's bollocks. Because also, with that, they do create methane. But also, they create a lot of carbon. And the carbon then goes into the ground, and then that becomes oxygen. It's feeding the roots. It's feeding the plants. Feed off it.
Right. Yeah.
So really, cows are actually quite good in recent studies. So, and it's like people say like electric cars and everything. Yeah, they're lithium batteries. You have to mine lithium. So all the oil and diesel and stuff, what you have to go create your lithium batteries. I could run my truck for like 20 years.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So, I get if people want to save the planet, and I do too.
Of course, everyone realistically does.
Yeah, because it's what we got. I want to have my son have a good life to live. But at the end of the day, yeah, it looks good on paper. Yes, electric. You're not burning oil. But you are.
Yeah.
Because of what's had to get your lithium.
To get the lithium materials and shit.
It's like the whole...
I don't mind.
We're going on a road tangent here.
But I don't mind people that are vegans. I don't mind them at all. I fucking hate the ones that are on their high horses about it. They're the ones that piss me off. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're vegan. You do realise you're killing the planet. Shut your mouth, you dickhead. Yeah. All right, you're just as bad. You just don't. You're just too blind or ignorant to realise it.
That is a lot of the time. But also, as well, it's it's going to be time again. But they're just stop oil.
Oh fucking hell! I've never wanted to. If I could fucking, do you know what? If I could bring Hitler back to get rid of one fucking race, it'd be them lot.
Oh no,
Adolf. Have your fucking fun with them.
There's a video of this bloke, and he was so sarcastic. I loved him. As soon as he came, he was like, "Yeah, this is really going to help, innit? You idiots! How can you not see what you're doing? All your clothes are made out of oil. If you want to save the planet, sell your homes and go live in the forest."
He's right, though.
He is on the money.
I still think the best one is that cooking oil one, though. That is by far the best one. It's like, yeah, but that's cooking oil.
And it's like, as well, what they're doing, they're just creating mass stoppage with vehicles. Their engines are still running.
Yeah.
And honestly, an idling car is worse than a car going flat
moving,
out.
Yeah.
It's because
it's the ones where it was the ones in the videos where they're stopping ambulances and shit. It's like,
people
if that was dying. Your fucking family, you would not be sitting there like a dickhead.
People would literally die.
I think they should have the right to run them over. I think in a life and death situation like that, because obviously there's going to be some people in ambulances that have probably just got a badly broken arm or something. That's different. But if there's someone literally that's like, we need to get them to the hospital within 10 minutes or this geezer's going to die, fucking flatline the bastards.
But in Germany, they do pull them out of the way.
Good.
In Britain, we can't. If a police officer can't do, then they do.
Yeah. But 9 times out of 10.
But us civilians, we can't touch them.
It's fucking bollocks.
In Germany, the police will move them.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of them where they were super gluing their hands to the tarmac.
Just the thought of that getting ripped off.
And they were. They were just grabbing hold and yanking them out of the way.
Fucking good.
Because what they're doing, it's doing no help.
It's really not.
In a way, they're getting what they want because we're talking about.
Yeah, of course they are. But at the same time,
they are getting what they want. But at the same time, it's going the wrong way.
Right? Yeah. You're not getting people. You're not getting people talking about you going, do you know what? Maybe they're on a point. They've got people going like me saying, "Bring Adolf Hitler back to kill him." Fucking hell!
Honestly,
dickheads.
Yeah,
they're dickheads.
If you wanted to go your route, you do what you have to do. The thing is, especially how a lot of the human minds work, if you try and push us and force feed us, we're not going to have it.
No.
You got to let people make their own minds up.
Yeah, to put it bluntly, we are stubborn.
Yeah.
Stupidly
as
stubborn.
As a race, the human race are stubborn.
As anything.
But you've got to let people make their own minds up.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, you can voice your opinions. And if you want to change someone's mind, that's the best way to do it, is voice your opinions and let them make their decision.
But in a respectable manner.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of them talk to other people like they're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And that is one thing I hate.
Yeah.
Is if someone
belittling another...
me. If someone tries to belittle me on stuff, it's like, oh, right, you wanna fucking go, I'll prove to you I've actually got a fair bit of intelligence in me. I'm not having people making me look a cunt.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to happen.
Because I love being educated in that sort of way. Just like how you did with the fucking cows and all that shit. I'm like, I don't think... Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But you didn't go... Oh, you fucking idiot. No. X, Y, Z. Do you know what I mean?
Let us say,
that I'm just like, who the fuck do you think you are?
I'm probably missing bits out, but there is studies going on about how cows aren't actually as bad as what people
are making them out.
It's propaganda at its finest.
Yeah.
And people say, yeah, they're releasing so much methane. So, but what gets me is, okay then, if that's the case, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to kill every cow, cause an extinction of a species, mass genocide? Who done that?
Yeah.
Who was trying to
I'd
do
be heartbroken if cows went extinct. No milk, no steaks.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I think I'd do myself in.
But you see what I mean? That if they're saying like cows are the worst for methane and that, okay, then we'll
wipe them out.
We'll wipe them out.
Yeah.
Who tried to do that? Who we've been speaking about? It was the Nazis. They tried to do that with different types of people.
Yeah.
So really, you're just even though they are animals, you've just reanimalised them.
That's another thing that pisses me off about them is when they say things like that. Oh, you're committing an animal holocaust. What the fuck do you mean? Yeah, okay. Some of the ways they are butchered is fucking barbaric. Yeah. It is. But to say we're causing it because what? I'm buying a fucking pack of mints from Tesco's. I'm causing that, am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not helping towards it, but you're making it sound like I'm the fucking master puppeteer behind it.
The thing is, I've said it before. I don't personally agree with the production.
No.
I don't agree. I've worked in chicken factories and stuff like that, and I'm looking in their eyes, but it still don't put me off KFC.
KFC, no.
As bad as that sounds. But the thing is, I don't agree with the whole mass production of it. I've always said if I had it my way, I'd be like, all right then, we'll let all the animals go free. Mm-hmm. If people want to eat animals,
they got to go get them themselves.
They can have the free will to hunt them.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because then that's my choice.
Yeah.
That is my personal choice, right? And that is coming from an instinct from my ancestors, from our ancestors, from the species we have come from.
Yeah.
We have incisors and canines.
For a reason.
Incisors and canines you will see on every carnivorous animal. Yeah, we have molars. That is why we're classed as omnivores. As the human race, we're classed as omnivores.
We can survive on both.
Yeah, we need both.
Yeah.
We do need
really,
both.
Yeah. But if you wanted to choose one or the other, realistically, you can't, especially today's age, you can't survive on just one or the other.
The most staple diet to humans is meat and potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can live a really, really healthy life if you just live off steak and potatoes. Mm-hmm. Work that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't need everything. But I just think, as a person who enjoys the taste of meat, who feels like I need it, I might not. No, but I feel like I do.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that is my choice.
Yeah, exactly.
I would rather go out and hunt.
Yeah.
I would much rather as well as sitting here now, be going out there and hunting my food for the week,
tonight, for
my family.
Yeah.
Done job.
Yeah, I agree.
But because of how overpopulated human race is, we can't do that.
No.
So it has to go through these guys.
Yeah. But like I was getting on, like bringing it back to that and things like that. We've got a prime example here in the UK with like the deer population, how it is just going out of control because they have no natural predator.
No.
Like you've said it before. What's our biggest predator? The fucking badger.
The biggest UK predator is the badger.
Well, what's a badger going to do against a fucking deer?
Yeah.
Nothing.
They live out in harmony.
If it was a honey badger, different story.
Yeah. But yeah, they live in harmony.
Yeah, exactly. So
and because badgers eat I think they're mainly like insectivores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the most ferocious predator we have is a fox.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was like bringing it back onto what I was on about with like population of deer and that.
Yeah.
It's like you can see in a roundabout way why Goering was trying to do this sort of shit. Yeah, okay, not necessarily bring back just so this like they got a superior hunting race, but making a nature reserve so that these animals can like populate again, but keeping them under a controlled environment.
But that's the thing, because in the UK centuries ago we had stuff like wolves.
Yeah,
and maybe not like big cats, but we had
the lynx, didn't we?
We had lynx, yeah, but we had predators.
Yeah,
that controlled the population of all sorts, and it was
that circle of life.
It was a circle of life. It made that ecosystem.
Yeah,
that the food chain.
Yeah,
and all that. But because then people were starting to populate more and more and more, taking territory, taking habitat away from the wolves and stuff like that. That then became a conflict. And then what people do, we killed out the wolves.
Yeah.
You know, and at the time,
it might have been the right thing to do, but now...
At that time, because people hunt.
Yeah.
Because people would go and hunt for their food.
Yeah.
But because now we've got Tesco's...
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to do
that. And the deer are now fine because of it, because obviously we took away their predator.
The deer are fine.
So they're just like...
But they're too fine.
Fucking spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're killing tree saps and all that sort of shit. They're killing the planet.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
A lot slower than we are.
Yeah.
But,
but at the time, they're killing the ecosystem. Yeah. And until we have an actual predator in force, it's the way it's going to go.
So bring bears to the UK.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
That would be my fucking... Oh, I'd cry with happiness. If I see that on the news one day, bears being reintroduced or introduced to the UK, I would cry like a fucking baby.
They've been every week.
I think I'll go to the grand opening.
Yeah.
The first bear they let go, I'd be there.
Yeah, t-shirt.
Go on, boy.
But no, I know like we have gone on a mad tangent.
We have, yeah.
Coming from Nazis to animal activism, but they did do that. But yeah, what the Nazis did was fucking wrong and barbaric.
Yeah.
But also they were animalising humans.
Yeah. That's the
thing I'm taking the most out of this. They were animalising humans.
Yeah. But it weren't even just humans. It was just Jews. More than any of them, it was the Jew population mainly.
Yeah, but it was pretty much everyone who wasn't the perfect.
Yeah.
Race.
I forgot about that. Actually,
it was the Jews got the
brunt of it.
The brunt of it. They got full force, but they were hitting everyone who didn't meet their criteria.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely tragic. Because you need diversity. Animals have diversity, so humans need diversity.
Yeah.
Like you say, one of my best mates is, not being horrible, it's one of the most opposite ends.
Yeah. We couldn't be, realistically, if nobody knew us and they just looked at us like from this camera, we couldn't be more opposite if we tried.
No.
Realistically.
That's how we work. That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. But no, just the thought of like them getting to a stage of where it's like not only just segregating these people or like segregating them, but wiping them off the face of the earth. It's fucking vile. And like you said,
right.
And like you said, the sad reality is it's still happening to this day. It's not stopped. Yeah, okay, it might not be on a vast scale that we know. It might not be on a vast scale of like what the Nazi population was. But this is what baffles me is that people were seeing this. Yeah, okay, they wanted to take over the planet, but this was mainly their goal, right? To obviously wipe out anyone that didn't fit their mould.
Yeah.
And it started an entire war because of it. Yeah, okay, there are smaller wars still going on, but there are so many people that don't even bat an eyelid to that reality of it nowadays. No. Not saying go out and start World War III. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is it relaxed of a race we've become. And and it's a sad reality. We're 29, right? And in that period, we've become relaxed to it. It's become the norm.
Yeah.
In that 29-year period. But this has been happening since 1913.
Yeah.
That's what baffles my fucking... Probably way before that as well. Well, it was realistically happening before that with like slave trade and all that shit.
It's been happening since the
dawn
of
time.
Man.
Yeah.
It's the dawn of man. If people didn't agree, they fought.
Yeah.
And it's been going on, and it will go on for
forever.
The rest. Yeah, forever.
Nothing's ever going to stop it. Nothing. No. Because you can, even if you solve one thing, okay, you solve the religion debate, I'll say. All right? So then you've got the fucking greed. All right? You solve that. Then you've got the fucking population breed of like Russia-Ukraine sort of thing, where Russia want it, but Ukraine are like, no, you're not having it. You then got that situation. Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be something pop up for people to disagree at.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's absolutely fine. This is sort of what we was roughly getting to with the whole activists and things like that, like vegans and that. It's okay to differ. It's not a problem to have a different opinion. It's not a problem to have a different religion. It's not a problem to have a different race and that. But to fight over it is fucking ridiculous. Yeah. I know I did say fucking flatline the fucking stop oil community, but they're an exception.
But at the end of the day, you still wouldn't actually.
No, of course I fucking wouldn't.
Because they're people.
The only way I would actually do it is if, like I said, with an ambulance situation. If I was in an ambulance and like I had a family member dying and them cunts were stopping me over the road, I would pay the driver. I'd be like, fucking go through them.
Yeah.
That's the only situation. But other than that, no, of course I wouldn't fucking do it.
But, like you say, it's just...
Human race is
fucked.
Scumbag.
Yeah.
Scumbag.
Yeah.
We need Don. We need a predator so bad. Where's Thanos when you need him?
Yeah.
You had the right idea.
The thing is, it's quite scary, the amount of people that have actually come out and said, like, agree with Thanos.
Like, he weren't a villain at all.
No.
He weren't a villain at all.
He was just an extreme idealist.
He was an extremist, yeah.
We see that all the time.
Yeah. Prime example.
Yeah. So, yeah. Just say, it's always seeing two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
But, because the thing is, a lot of people would say, like, yeah, Thanos had the right idea unless it happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless either they got wiped out or a close family
members got wiped out.
Then it's a problem.
Yeah. It's only ever an issue. And again, I think that is just prime human DNA.
Yeah.
It is one of them situations, especially with not trying to get fucking all sad and depressive, but especially what I've been going through recently.
Yeah.
It is a prime example. You don't think it's going to happen to you until it does.
Yeah.
You really do think. It's just human nature. You do think you're immune from this situation.
Yeah.
Not sitting there going big-headed, going, nah, it's never going to fucking get me or anything like that. But it's just, until it happens, it is a case of, fuck. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's the sad reality of throughout the whole of life.
Yeah.
Till it happens to you, you don't think it's going to happen to you.
No, that is right. That is exactly right, mate.
And it is shit.
Proper shit, mate. I know how you feel. Oh, right.
I think that's about me done.
Fucking hell, we went mad.
We went on a mad tangent then.
Yeah, we went mad. Jesus Christ.
I enjoyed it though. I do love a good old tangent.
Yeah, but I feel like we haven't tried. We ain't tried to upset people. We
never do.
We always say that.
If we have upset anybody, we do massively apologise. It was not our intentions in the slightest.
The thing is, I don't apologise because I'm only saying like how. It sounds bad, but how it should be. Because,
you're saying your opinion. It's literally what we was literally just on about. It's our opinion. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. We're not telling please do. But do you know what I mean? We're not saying we're right, you're wrong, get to fuck.
No. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy, but keep it to yourself, kind of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even though we've got a podcast and I know it's very hypocritical.
I don't know how to say it. It's like everyone has the right to voice their opinion, but there's a limit. And that's the same with life. Like we know the podcast limit. We know the limit of what you can say in public. We know the limit of. I'm not just saying us. I'm just talking about the human race in general. Everyone should realistically know there's a limit. Don't fucking cross it. And the sad reality is far too many people are crossing it nowadays. Yeah. And it's like they say, it's because I'm outspoken, or it's like I'm not a sheep. But no, you're an arsehole. Regardless of what side of the fence you sit on, regardless of what religion you are, sex you are, sexuality you are, regardless of anything in your life, there is a limit.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. If you go over that line, you're an arsehole. Fact. Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah. In my opinion.
That's how we see it in black and white.
Exactly. But no, I think that's me about done. I don't know how we've gone from fucking Nazis to animals to Just Stop Oil to the human race in general, but...
Thing is...
What other podcast offers this, eh?
Yeah, but this is going to sound really bad. And it's going to sound... They kind of go hand in hand. They do. In a different road.
I know what you mean,
on a different road.
Yeah.
Like, they're not killing off, they're not doing mass genocide.
It is.
But they want everyone to think of their own ideology.
Yeah. Yeah.
And...
like, when you think about it, realistically...
There's no individualism anymore.
When you think about it realistically, if it weren't for, like, things like nuclear and, like, advanced technology and that, for every opinion that people are backed up and have people fight against, like what we've just mentioned, literally every single one, we'd probably be on, like, World War VII by now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because of everyone's opinions. Yeah. It's so fucked. Just don't be an arsehole.
Yeah. Just try and live a happy life.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck it. Life's too short.
Exactly. You can spend your whole fucking life fighting this cause, but when you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah, it don't matter anymore.
It's like, is your life... Are you seriously going to look back at your life and go, fucking yeah, I achieved something? When the sad reality is you probably haven't.
No, you probably didn't.
I don't mean that as in a harsh reality. I mean like something like a protest or anything like that. Unless you actually see out-and-out change, sad reality is it's never gonna.
No.
So yeah, just enjoy life, innit? Fuck, just stop oil. But no, Ed, what are we doing next week?
Well, see, I feel like I cut teased them so bad last week. I've got to talk about it.
We've got to go back.
I've got to go back. So next week, I will be talking about Slender Man.
Mm-hmm.
The Slender Man. The creepypasta what pretty much everyone knows about.
Yeah.
And also Siren Head.
Decent.
So you'll get 2 for the price of 1.
See? We might have cock-teased you. We might have edged you a little bit, but now we're giving you double. So
yeah, exactly.
Be grateful.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah.
But no, I am actually enjoying looking forward to, because I don't know really much about Siren Head, to be brutally honest.
Neither do I.
But but no, with I've just fucking laughed so much. My contacts fit. There we go. No, but with Slender Man, it's like we've mentioned it last week. There's so much we can talk about on it, because obviously you've got the character itself, you've got the creepypasta itself with the lore and everything,
and the real life.
You've got the fucking films, all that shit, and like you said, the real life repercussions and all this shit that has come since then.
Yeah,
that's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'll talk about the big lanky man.
Yeah, with no face. But yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, decent. So, I think that about wraps up this week. So, Ed, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, which is Missing Mysteries in black and white. You can follow us on Instagram, which is Missing Mysteries _ not the word, actual underline bit. Haven't got any.
Gets better every time.
Yeah, I know.
No, but I will soon. I keep fucking forgetting. Remind me after this, and I will do it.
Okie dokie. As if I remember it at all. You can follow us on X or Twitter, or whatever Elon Musk likes to call it, which is at Missing Mysteries 1, all in one word. You can follow us on TikTok, which is at Missing Mysteries 10, like the number. Number 10, not the word 10. Number 10. Right. And you can subscribe to us at Missing Mysteries. Which, due to the algorithms, it is a bugger to find. But the best way to do that is through our socials, which you will see at the end of the video. Or what I've just spoke. Oh, I don't know. Fuck's sake.
You'll find it.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, so
we're 3 weeks back into this. Give us some time. It's still a bit rushed around the edge.
Yeah, pretty much. But on our YouTube, as well as seeing our lovely faces. Hello. This is where we do like our actual hunts, our reacts, and when we do the voice interviews, but as well we do interviews, which we need to get back on.
Yeah. One thing I do want to mention: if you are watching on the YouTube, you will see we finally have an intro, and we want to give a massive shout out to the man that created that intro. Ben from Cheshire, is it Cheshire Film Productions?
Yeah, I'm just getting that up now.
Moment, please.
Yeah, this is Ben from Cheshire Direct Film Limited.
So, and I just want to say, not only is he affordable, reliable, but he's quick as fuck.
Yeah, he was quick.
It wasn't even.
Response.
Yeah, it was midweek. We asked him to do this, and we're now Sunday, and we've got it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This guy works his ass off for this sort of stuff.
Yeah, he does. He's fantastic at what he does. But even though it was just like, I've just messaged him, be like, Ben, what do you think you could do an intro and an outro for us? And
he basically just went, say less.
Yeah, he just got back to us saying, yeah, of course I can do that. Tell me what you'd like. And at the time, we didn't really know what we wanted. So I said, have fun with it. He was like, okay, leave it with me, and he's come out with something.
But it's not even, and even that, even after he finished with it, it weren't like, here you go. It was, do you like it? Do you want bits changing? Do you want bits adding? He will not rest until you are both satisfied with it. So massive shout out to him. Yeah, like I said, affordable, reliable, and an out-and-out legend. And he's a Monster Squad brother. So go show him some love, please.
Yeah, please do, because he is a really good... he has got a real gift for this.
He really has.
It pisses me off, because he could just do anything. It's really annoying, but I love him to bits. Yeah. He's a really good guy.
So no, please do. I'll leave a link in the description.
Yes.
If there is a link, I'm pretty sure there is. I'll leave a link to his socials or whatever in the description. So please do go give them a follow, give them a like, show some love.
Yeah, and if you have a podcast, if you're a paranormal investigator, if anything really,
if you have any content out there and you want anything made specifically for that content, please do give them a shout.
Yeah, it hasn't got to be from a paranormal.
No,
or
it can be
anything
literally
like what
anything.
we cover. Absolutely anything. If you do football, he'll do it.
He'll do a fucking If
you do vlogs, he'll do it.
Yeah,
do you know
literally.
what I mean?
Anything.
If you do makeup, he'll probably do it. Do
anything content wise, just go give him a shout.
Yeah,
and so big up to Ben. Really do appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
But no,
good old boy. Josh.
Yes.
Where can they listen to us?
Well, even though you are, if you want fancy listening on another platform or all of them, you can find us on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, Podchaser, Player FM, and iHeartRadio.
Fantastic. Cool, you are good at that.
Oh, fuck it. It rolls off the tongue. But no, thank you very much for watching or listening or both, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Happy hunting. Oh, you made a mess of yourself, mate.